Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum. Thank you for tuning in each and every single week here to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, where we discuss the mindset, tactics, and tools you need to become a successful real estate investor through foreclosure investing. So a little housekeeping. First step, if you want to become a part of the conversation, I would love it if you would join the Foreclosure Deals Coach group on Facebook. You can get there by going to www.fdcoachgroup.com. There, I do a weekly live Q&A where you can ask all of the foreclosure investing questions your little heart can desire, man. I'm gonna take on everything, top to bottom analysis of deals, help you to get funding put together, how to structure your entity, where to find your deals, and everything else in between. It's a great place to get your foreclosure news and get some nice information, absolutely free. Just join up with a Facebook group. I will look forward to seeing you there. Well, here we are in the first quarter of 2023, and so much has changed in this very short year already. We've got interest rates that surged well up, starting to trickle down just a little bit. We've got the Fed threatening to increase interest rates again, and perhaps most notably, we have to really start looking at the jobs market as something that we're concerned about. Whereas unemployment has been at all-time lows for a very extensive period of time, now is the time to start looking at the fact that that's going to change. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of today's show, which is going to go into about how important it is to develop your construction talent, let's hop into our mindset as we do each and every single week with a quote I picked up from an unknown person here, where it says, an investor's worst enemy is not the market, but his or her own emotions. And I think that's so important, because if you're around people, your friends and your family are now facing layoffs. You're hearing it on the news. You're making the mistake of listening to the news right now. It's going to become very easy for you to get caught up in the drama that is how the general consensus of the market is. And it reminds me, kind of flashing back in time a little bit, to the 07-08 market, where people were basically saying the sky is falling, it's not going to work out, real estate's going to drop down to zero, a horrible time to get involved in the industry, yada, 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 yada. Okay. And here's the thing. None of that was accurate. The reality was, looking back, that was one of the best times to get started, because what happened is real estate stopped being easy for people who were making a bunch of money and not adding a ton of value to the market. It got substantially harder for those people. And a lot of those people, God bless them, got out of the industry, got different jobs, and etc. Not knocking it at all, but I think we're going to see that same transition right now. What that means is the pie may shrink a little bit in the form of reduced transactions, but what's really going to shrink is the competition. Okay. And if you're looking at it from that perspective, that the competition is going to be knocked out of the gate here a little bit, it's going to become a huge opportunity for would-be investors like you to take advantage of the market wherever you happen to be located, and understand that with less competitive people in there, there's going to be a lot more deals available to you. In my coaching product, I teach people just like you how to do their first or subsequent consistent deals with a minimum profit of $25,000. Now, for the really heavy hitter flippers, that's not near enough money to keep them enticed. So they're going to go move their money elsewhere, and they're going to stop looking at those deals because they want to make a lot more than that. And listen, if you're experienced, you got construction crews, you got your own money, you have to require a higher return on investment. So I'm not knocking it at all. But the majority of the population is like you. They're looking to get into real estate investing and don't know where to get started. Well, my advice on getting started is do easy deals. Do deals that require basic remodeling, like paint and carpet and flooring and cabinets and countertops, things you can readily hire subcontractors and contractors to get done, and leave the super complicated, super uber remodels that you see on the flipping shows all the time to the professionals. Sure, they're making more per deal, but if you're trying to get your start, you're going to want consistency. Whatever you're doing right now, let's say you're consistently making 80, 90, 100 grand in your day job. okay? But you don't want to do that day job anymore. You realize that there's no future in it for you. And more importantly, you want to take back some of your financial time and location freedom. Well, transitioning into a flipping business where you can consistently do 3 or 4 deals with a minimum profit of $25,000 or more means that now you're making a 6-figure plus a year income. You're not doing the day job anymore unless you want to, and you're taking some of the money that you're making from that and you're buying passive rental income properties so you can eventually find the retirement that you're looking for. Let's face it, the retirement you're probably setting up for in your just over broke job that most people have is not providing the financial future you want for your family. And we're just getting started. In the early years, I want you to do 3 to 4 flips a year, but as you get good at this, you can scale up to what I did in my best year. I hit 47 flips in 1 year. I got to be frank with you and tell you, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It was a lot of work. It was very difficult. I needed way more systems and people than I had. I just scaled way too fast. But now I'm working on an elite coaching product that can build you and a group of people that are going to work around you so you can scale this up to 50, 100, 200 flips a year. Right now, I know it seems like a foreign concept if you've never done your first deal, but when you get into coaching, you're starting your way down into your first deal so you can eventually build a system that can do as many flips per year as you want. It is all about making sure you're scaling yourself appropriately. And remember, one more time, the worst enemy is not the market itself, no matter what it's doing, but rather your emotions towards what's happening. Okay, so don't get caught up in the emotions. Down markets are great times to buy. I just got on the phone with one of my coaching students, and his valid concern was that interest rates are on the rise. Maybe we should be waiting this out until the market settles down a little bit. Not the goal, people. Right now, you want to start setting up your relationships, setting up your funding, setting up your LLC, setting up your ability to get the property sold and be ready to rock. And if you only make 25 grand on a deal, what a great opportunity that is to break the cycle of working at a job you're not super fond of and get into full-time real estate investing by consistently doing what most investors will shy away from or not do because it's not enough profit for them. Don't take that attitude. You can get greedy later, but right now, pigs get slaughtered. Okay, so you want to do deals that are super easy. And don't forget, something like 85% of people who do their first flip bite off more than they can chew and end up losing money on that deal. Right? Don't be that statistic. Making only 25 grand, and I say that a little tongue in cheek, is still ideal if you can do it consistently. And that's what my coaching is all about, is helping you to do that consistently so you know you've got income coming in on a quarterly basis that you can live off of while you are building your real estate empire. It's a critical part of building income while you build wealth. And that's what this whole program is all about. So let's get into the meat and potatoes a little bit. First of all, we've got our article of the week, and we're going to hop in here. I'm going to share this screen with you here so you can see it. And here we go. Okay, this article comes to us from the Chicago Tribune. For fun, we're going to do a deal analysis in Chicago when we end the show today, as we do with all of our deal analysis stuff. But the article alludes to, as tech companies make cuts, will other industries follow? Here's what to know about jobs in 2023. Obviously, I'm going to post the article into the show notes here, but the idea is that technology companies are laying off people left and right. The mortgage industry is laying off people left and right. Real estate doesn't generally lay people off. People just quit the job. So you got a lot of real estate agents who are not doing as much business right now, who are now looking for work in other places. And what's to follow is, because the market is cooling, although construction is doing well right now, there's a belief that there's going to be less construction jobs in the relatively near future. Should we be afraid of this? Absolutely not. Listen, if construction workers are getting laid off, it's unfortunate, but they're going to use that skill set elsewhere. Whereas construction got really, really expensive in the previous years, it's going to get a lot cheaper right? You're seeing tech industry guys lay people off. That's going to cause more foreclosures on the market. Now, if you start losing construction workers, you're going to just have a whole new attitude of the market, and people are going to be able to work for less, and you're still going to get the quality work that you need to make your flip viable. As I like to say, guys, this is not rocket science, okay? The ability to buy a property accurately, get the work done, and sell it is super easy if you know your numbers very well. Where it gets more challenging is if you don't know your numbers, or if you're trying to, do a flip that's too much for you to handle on your own. So we're going to make sure to keep you out of harm's way by coaching you through buying the right deal for your current skill set, which implies making a little bit less profit than veteran flippers, but keeping out of trouble, hiring the right contractors to do cosmetic rehab to the property, and building a consistent stream of income doing that. There's going to be layoffs. Construction workers going to be available. You want to build those relationships right now, so when that happens, you are ready to rock. You've got all the people that you need to get going. One of the ways you can do that is to attend Real Estate Investor Association events. There are RIAs all over the country. I highly recommend you join your local RIA and attend it, because the smart contractors that want to work with investors like you, they go to those meetings looking for clients like you. Okay. And the conversations are not how much then they gouge you on pricing. Not that most contractors want to do that, but they're not looking for a retail consumer. They're looking for consistent, structured business that's predictable. I met with so many contractors that were tired of their homeowner contracts where they had to, well, I'm not sure if I want the kitchen this color or that color. They changed the backsplash order a couple times. They wanted different countertops. It's mind-numbing. You got to be a real people person to pull off that gig, okay? So I felt for those contractors. When I told them that we basically do the same flip on every property, the color scheme, what cabinets we're putting in, what countertops I'm putting in before we start, most of these contractors were so happy that they didn't have to deal with the day-to-day changes and what they were going to get done. They could just do their job effectively and not have to worry about having to do change orders or dealing with any of that. It was a huge opportunity for them. And I tell you what, once you've established those relationships, they're going to come to you and want to do more business, because it's just easier to work with a predictable investor than it will be to continue to have to change their format on each and every single deal. So RIAs are one way you can do that. Contractors have meetups too. You can meet up. I went to one the other day that was about restoration. I met a solid painter guy. I met a roofer while I was there. So look around for construction related meetups. Show up, have your business card with you, either digital or in person, and hand it out. Say, I'm an investor and I want to start establishing relationships with the deals that I know are coming up. And if you're the right contractor, I'd love to work with you to do a couple of deals in the year to come. Don't worry that you haven't done one yet. Worry that without the relationships, it's going to get harder to do them. If you already know contractors, start reaching out. Say, hey, I'm really committed this year to doing my first deal. And by the way, get committed to doing your first deal. Join the coaching program, get the course, do what you got to do to get that commitment level. But people will respond to you better if it feels like you're committed to getting this done, as opposed to you're playing with the idea of potentially doing this thing, right? Don't be that person. Make sure that you are providing the right, attitude towards the people. You don't want to waste their time, right? They don't want their time wasted. You don't want your time wasted. Make sure you're serious about this, and then go make the relationships that you need to start getting your contractor relationships dialed in. I want to show you one app that I use. It's called the Blue Book. And in the Blue Book here, you can search for trades in a certain area, right? And let's say you want a drywall contractor in Colorado Springs, where I'm located. You can type that in here, right? And you've got drywall contractors. Now, listen, these guys paid to be in this directory, okay? So they're definitely more serious about their business. The downside to that is they tend to be a little bit more expensive, okay? But if you need to get a high bid, or you're dealing with an upper end property that requires that you pay a little bit more, sometimes having the high bid allows you to compare that bid to other people. Don't waste your contractor's time. But the idea here is that you get a couple of quotes on all of your major trades, so you're making sure you're getting the lowest deal possible. I've done wonderful with the mom and pop subcontractors, the crews you can meet at Home Depot, things like that. But if you're in a jam, one way to start establishing those relationships is to hop onto the bluebook.com, which I recommend in my course as well, and get some quotes from people who are in your local market, so you have at least a general idea on what this is supposed to cost. That way you can get lower prices as you're building your subcontractors down the road. And sometimes, you don't want the cheapest guy. You want the guy who's going to do the best work consistently. And if you provide him with consistent business, you will see better pricing over time than you're going to get up front. You just got to gauge it. And that's why we're building relationships now. Okay, that people like themselves. So if you establish those relationships early on and you're genuine and you're applied to provide consistent business to your subcontractors, this can be an excellent source for people like yourself looking to do deals in their local market. Hop on out to the bluebook.com and you can get some great trades and get that relationship set up right in there. All right. So that's kind of the meat and potatoes today. Get your relationship set up, attend your real estate investor meetings, start meeting contractors, introduce yourself as a real estate investor looking to establish relationships with trades. I go over in detail the scripts and dialogues you want to use when you first meet contractors in my course. So definitely check out the 5 F's of foreclosure investment system. But in the meantime, just go meet people. Don't worry about where you're at in the game. Be confident, look them in the eye, tell them you're committed to converting your life into real estate investing. And I promise you will get the response that you want. Once you take yourself seriously, other people will take you seriously as well. Okay, with that, let's hop on back in and do our deal analysis of the day, featuring Privy, the app I like to use to find deals everywhere in the country and help my clients anywhere you happen to be located to find deals. Because we did an article from the Chicago Tribune, I thought it would be fun to hop into Chicago and see if we can find ourselves a deal in that market. And I know Privy will do it, so I'm going to share my screen here. And here we go. All right. So when you first hop in, remember Privy filters by heat maps, if you will. So you can see areas that's got to have a lot of deals. What we want to do is, if you know Chicago, that's a good thing. But sometimes just kind of analyzing the market is healthy. It's good behavior to kind of know what's going on around you, right? So you can find deals anywhere in the country using this application. Okay. And this is no exception here. Here we are. We're finding stuff in Chicago, which I immediately think of as a very expensive city. And I'm finding stuff, here we go, for $149, another one for $125, one for $72.5. Now, at first glance, most of these are a little too extreme of a remodel for a first-time investor, but we're doing the exercise today, right? We're just kind of getting a feel for what's out there in the Chicago market. Here's one. Geez, look at this, $41,400. Don't you dare tell me there are no deals in Chicago. Okay, because there most certainly are. Here we are on 72nd Street, 110 grand. This thing is rough, no doubt. And I'm not necessarily saying this is where you should start your investing career, because we don't want to start with something that's going to put you under unless you've already got the trades and or the experience. I talk to clients all the time who are transitioning from being a full-time general contractor but want to get started in real estate investing. Well, if you've got that skill set already, coaching could be wonderful for you. Now you're not quite as limited. I don't want to get you in over your head, but if you can do the work yourself, it makes a huge difference. This house is, it needs work. We would expect that, right? $110,000 for 2,100 square feet. They're definitely pointing out a lot of the flaws here. We want to make sure the structure is fine, etc. But right out of the gate, being sold as is. Cash or conventional loans only. We want verbiage that indicates that this needs to go to an investor, because that's the negotiation you want to have, okay? When we hop in here, we want to sort our comparable sales by recent. And it's kind of weird because we're only seeing stuff that went in September and nothing more recent than that. That makes me nervous about this neighborhood for sure. But is this a deal? Well, they're asking $110,000, right? Here's a comp 0.15 miles away that's got two more bedrooms and a 2-car garage, but it sold for $230,000. Here's another one that went for 205. Here's a 2-2. Look at this. They bought it for 74. We don't know how long ago they bought it, but they sold it for $350,000. Okay. So I go back to my original statement. Don't you dare tell me there are no deals in Chicago. There are a ton of deals in Chicago. Are you going to have to spend more money on the remodel? Yes. If you buy something turn of the century like this, it's a lot of work. So you don't necessarily want to do something this cheap and get yourself into a jam. Sometimes spending a little bit more on the remodel is going to be better because, well, not on the remodel, on the property itself, because you're not setting yourself up for failure by getting overwhelmed by the remodel. Okay. But tons of opportunity in Chicago. If you'd like to find deals in your local market, hop on in to Get Privy. Use my affiliate link, if you would, bit.ly/FDC Privy, and find deals anywhere you happen to be located in the country. You can find deals there. I can help you to analyze those deals, help you to fund those deals, help you to fix those deals, and help you to make a profit in real estate investing through a very hand-holding one-on-one coaching program that's going to get you to the end result a lot faster than trying to figure this out on your own. Okay, so that's kind of it for today, guys. You want to be building your relationships today with your contractors, not waiting until you have a deal under contract to do that. You have to start committing to this business right now, and we know for certain you're going to have to put in some remodeling work. So find your handymen, find your subcontractors in specific trades, and find your GCs. Sometimes they're applicable. They tend to be too expensive, but listen, the really successful flippers have negotiated great deals with high-end GCs that understand they're going to get volume over time, and as a result will give their clients a better pricing model on the properties that they do for them. So don't count anybody out. You're building relationships right now, and the more relationships you have, the easier putting deals together is going to get, and the more money you're going to make flipping properties. Lastly, join the Facebook group. Head out to fdcoachgroup.com to find out how to get started in your coaching career, and join me weekly for my live Q&A session where you can ask any question underneath the sun related to real estate investing, and I'll help you with it because I want to see you get started in your investing career, hopefully by joining up with my program and becoming one of the coaching students that I'm helping right now. With that, this is Donnie Corum, your Foreclosure Deals Coach. Thank you guys so much for tuning in each and every week to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. And remember, don't buy a house, buy a deal.